We have some big breaking news as NASCAR's counterclaim against 23XI Racing and Row Motorsports has officially been dropped, and it sounds like there's a potential possibility that a settlement might be coming after all, and chances are increasing on that front. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said ago, we got some pretty big updates on the lawsuit that just came out, as there's been some big updates that have come out in regards to the lawsuit over the course of the last couple days. As reported by Jordan Bianchi, it sounds like there is a chance that a settlement could be coming down the road, and NASCAR's counterclaim has been dropped. The judges dropped the counterclaim for NASCAR against 23XI Racing and Row Motorsports. Now, Jordan Bianchi did report earlier today, and there's been some things that could happen in the near future. According to what Jordan Bianchi reports, ever since last year when NASCAR's two teams filed an unprecedented antitrust lawsuit against the league, mutual destruction seemed inevitable. But, according to what he reports here, there have also been a few developments suggesting amicable settlement is coming before the scheduled December 1st trial date. And apparently, if they however, don't settle, they would go to trial. Now, however, according to past week, according to what Jordan Bianchi reports, the case outlook has changed and a settlement could be announced this week. He also reports this is based on interviews with 8 team owners and executives, as well as 2 league officials who were granted a nominee so they could speak freely about ongoing tense negotiations. They shed light on a process that seemed headed for a resolution during a 2-day settlement last week, only to break down in the final hours. Now, one of NASCAR's top executives is making a push to strike a deal in advance of the league's championship race this weekend in Phoenix. So there is a chance and possibly that a settlement could be reached by the end of this week if they could push. Now, here's some interesting things that were also noted by Jordan Bianchi. The breakthrough toward a potential settlement began last Tuesday when the parties participated in a settlement conference initiated at NASCAR's request, which the courts granted. Unlike the court's mandated arbitration hearing held in August, which did little to bridge the sides' differences, the tone of last week's sessions was decided different. Initially scheduled for a single day, the talks were so encouraging during the initial 8-hour session that both sides opted to continue discussions the next day. The positive vibes carried over into Wednesday morning, where the deal's framework began to take shape. However, one of their many hurdles cleared was actually NASCAR's willingness to explore teams given them more flexibility, which that flexibility, of course, would be permanent charters. Now, the teams have absolutely been pushing for permanent charters across the board, that being 23XI and Front Row, and it seems like NASCAR's actually okay with giving them permanent charters in general. However, things kind of started taking place with the long-term security, among other things, but the big thing that kind of hurt a lot of this stuff going is the optimism vanished because NASCAR apparently balked in making new payments, and basically they were not a big fan of the changes that they wanted in regards, I think, the financial side of things and changing financial stuff among other stuff as well. Denny Hamlin actually spoke to the media, said it was okay the first day, not great the second day, and I don't know it didn't end in any resolution at that point, unfortunately. Now, according to what Jordan Bianchi also reports in this article, still teams and league sources say a deal between the parties could happen as soon as this week. NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps is working to reach an agreement, making calls to members of both parties to settle the lawsuit in advance of the Phoenix Championship race, in which Hamlin is one of the 4 finalists, of course, competing for the championship at that point. One executive apparently told Jordan Bianchi in this article saying this should be over by now, and said they're fighting for all of his teams. They get permanent charters. Lawsuit hasn't gone away. If they get the permanent charters, they would be good. And basically, we've also know Kenneth Bell does not want to really go to trial at this point. But of course, according to what Bianchi reports, the clock is ticking at this particular moment in point. Continuing on with the updates to the suit, there was also a report that did come out earlier today about Judge Kenneth Bell pretty much saying something else as well. He basically has dismissed the NASCAR counterclaim against 23XI Racing and Front Row that allegedly they illegally conspire with teams to get a better deal in the charter agreement. What that means is that basically that they were trying to do is basically NASCAR had basically said that 23XI Racing Front Row were trying to conspire with a bunch of different teams to try to basically do political stuff, try to screw up the deal, it seemed like a little bit, and basically they wanted to basically boycott, it sounded like, which NASCAR was already had in preparation in case there was a boycott that took place, certain demonstrations that were taking place, and NASCAR apparently had threatened, I believe, a bunch of the teams that if they were to try to boycott, they would lose all their charter status in general. When they sent that initial charter agreement out, they basically did not want that to happen. With the counterclaim being dismissed by Judge Kenneth Bell, I think here's one thing we all know. NASCAR, they of course do not want to open their books. That's been the big thing they've been against, is opening up their books. If they open up their books, there's a chance and possibility that a ton of things are going to get exposed, and that they basically don't want to open their books at this point, that being NASCAR. So I think that's the big thing to look at, is they don't want to open up their financial side of things and don't want to open up their financial books at this point. If they are able to, of course, secure this and they don't have to go to trial, that would be a really big deal. Now, obviously, a settlement, in my opinion, I've said this multiple times, but I think a settlement at this point between NASCAR, 23XI Racing, and Row Motorsports would be the best outcome at this point. If they don't settle, though, and they do go to trial, a lot of things are going to get exposed and a lot of things are not going to be made there. But I think that the chances of a settlement actually happening now have increased, and that's a positive thing. It seems like we're all in agreement of permanent charters. One of the things that the people involved in this case have said, they do want permanent charters, and apparently NASCAR has been opening now to giving them permanent charters. That would be a start, in my opinion, to helping things out. Permanent charters, in my opinion, needs to be something that is brought into this, and I think that'll be something that could come into play if they do get a settlement done. The other big thing I look at, will NASCAR be forced to sell certain things off on their side of things? Will they be forced to sell off ISC? Will they be forced to sell off ARC if they reach a settlement? Or will they be able to keep running those series and not worry about that? It will basically, the teams be allowed to run the next-gen car in other different types of tracks. That's because that's one thing that's been brought up at this point, is basically not being allowed to go and run in different series, run this car different types of tracks. They want to be able to have that opportunity to go ahead and do that. If the judge decides, in fact, to go ahead and open that up, I think that'll be the best outcome for the sport at this point, is opening up and letting the next-gen car race. I get it's their own IP, but I think that'd be the best thing to go with at this point. But the fact that we actually may be reaching a settlement, I think that would be the best thing right now. As much as I think it would be cool for me as someone who's covered this lawsuit quite a bit to talk about a trial and talk about it, I think the best outcome at this point is to reach a settlement. And I'm hoping that we do reach a settlement at this point, because that's what I think would be the best outcome of this whole thing is in general. If we can reach a settlement in regards to this lawsuit, I think everyone in the industry would be happy. There's a lot of people in the industry that are really, really scared. You have the Driver Advisor Council got to put out their piece and say what they wanted to say in this, and I think that's the best thing that could happen. Again, I hope there is a settlement between NASCAR and 23XI Racing and Row Motorsports, and the fact that we actually may be reaching a potential possibility on that front, I think that's the best thing that could happen at this particular moment in point. I really, truly hope that we do reach a settlement here. That's what I think is going to be the best thing for the sport right now, and we'll see if they do in fact reach a settlement. And there's also some other stuff, and basically I think NASCAR again just doesn't want to open up their books at this point. So potentially we could be seeing a settlement come into play. Maybe things don't happen and we don't see a settlement come into play, but I really hope it does happen. I think that'd be the best thing for the sport. I hope we do reach a settlement between NASCAR, 23XI, and Front Row. And the other big thing is they will get their charters back too if they were able to reach a settlement. So it seems like maybe some positive talks coming in the way. We'll see what happens, and we'll see if a lawsuit is able, not a lawsuit, but a settlement is able to be reached. We'll see if it does happen. We'll see if a settlement is able to be reached between NASCAR, 23XI, and Front Row. So, that is going to take special breaking news report on the lawsuit updates between the potential settlement and also the counterclaim being dismissed by Judge Kenneth Bell. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Notifications on so if when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go to more of that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are thoughts about Judge Kenneth Bell dismissing the counterclaim against 23XI Racing and Row Motorsports, and also the potential settlement that might be coming away down the road? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We're probably going to have another video dropping today. There's some potential big news coming later this afternoon. Tomorrow, of course, we're going to have we're going to have championship picks for Cup and NASCAR news video, and we're probably also going to have Truck Series race picks dropping tomorrow instead. And then, of course, on Thursday, we're going to have the Cup and Xfinity Series race picks, and then of course on Friday we'll have a NASCAR news video, talk about potential things that come out, and more news might be breaking throughout the rest of the week, and we got other videos being planned as well. We got content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shaman Gisborne, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Paul Walsh, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Frankie Muniz, Kyle Larson, Chase Light, Ryan Priest, Cletus Avon, Dodge Ram, Gray Biffle helping out with the Hurricane, among other things, and a lot of big stuff coming soon. Michael Jordan, Riley Herbst, Todd Gillen, charters, all the good stuff. Connor Zillich, Junior Motorsports, all the good stuff Daniel Suarez talk about on the channel in the coming days and the coming weeks as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.